All right, here we go. Another brand new edition of Parx Sporsbook presents Stick to Hockey Live. Flyers go down to Montreal last night. We'll get into that. We'll have Steve Coates coming up in a couple of minutes. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of the conversation, let me tell you about Parx Sporsbook. This is as good of a time as any. There is a lot going on. You just had the conference championships in college hoops. You've obviously got the tournament starting, tons to bet on. You've got the remainder of the hockey season right into the playoffs. You've got pro hoops. Now we've got baseball on the horizon. So a great time to get in on the action, and no better place to put your action than with the Parx Sportsbook app. So download it, put it on your iPhone or your Android. Check it out. Just kind of see all the different ways you can bet, how easy it is to navigate. There's just two things here about the Parx Sportsbook app. First of all, you don't have to be an expert on gambling, on getting action in on games, and in-game betting and props and parlays and teasers and everything, player performances, that part. And then there's the technical part of navigating the app, which is simple as well. So it's not going to overwhelm you. If you want to get in on the action, download the app. It's real simple. And all that you got to do once you download it is open up an account, deposit, which again is simple, no promo required. And your first bet is going to be risk-free up to $500. So again, you got the tournament coming. You've got the remainder of the pro hoop season. You got the remainder of the hockey season into the playoffs for both of those. And you've got baseball on the horizon and then football not far off. So you can get in on whether you want to go old school and just bet, hey, a money line or a spread, that's fine, or a parlay or a teaser, that's cool. But if you want to get in live in-game play-by-play betting, if you want to get in on player performances, first to score, exact score, over-unders on points, assists, you name it, it's all there for you. And it's a lot of fun. Goaltending, you can bet on everything. So make sure you check it out, and you'll find the experience very easy to use and very satisfying. And check us out on Thursday as well. Get Tones Plays on Tones Takes here on Stick to Hockey Live. And he'll be coming up again this Thursday. He's had a great year. So check it out. Get the Parx Sportsbook app. Deposit, first bet risk-free up to $500. And make sure you follow the Parx social channels at Parx Sportsbook on Twitter. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. Well, there you'll get great content. You'll get daily specials. Natalie Eganoff and Sam Wilson and Stick to Hockey Live and Ajis and all kinds of great content. So make sure you follow those social channels. Again, on Twitter at Parx Sportsbook, on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So check it all out there and get the Parx Sportsbook app. All right, so this episode, it's a Monday. It's the day after the Flyers lose that game against the Montreal Canadiens. And what an incredibly frustrating loss. They found ways to lose games, whether it's that Pittsburgh game that they were up 4-2 in Pittsburgh in February, and they find a way to get that game to overtime, and eventually Letang scores in overtime to give Pittsburgh a 5-4 win. Whether it's that Washington game where the Flyers are up 3-2 late, and then Garnet Hathaway scores 2 goals, and you end up losing that game 5-4 against the Washington Capitals, that giveaway right in front to Hathaway that tied the game. Or it's the Minnesota Wild game where you had a lead. There's these games littered throughout the schedule and results of this entire season where you just go, how the heck did they lose that game? And last night against Montreal may be the pinnacle of bad losses in a season littered with bad losses. Those other ones I just mentioned, they're bad, and they're recent too. But the one against Montreal last night, in a game where you have a 3-2 lead late, and you're on the power play, there's a penalty taken with a minute to go on a hit on Joel Farabee. Flyers are on the power play, so naturally the face-off is in the Montreal zone with a minute to play, and you have a 3-2 lead. That's the kind of the scene setter. Minute to play, 3-2 lead. You have a man advantage. They can't get the goalie out right away because the face-off, again, is in their zone, 5-on-4. They turn the puck over in the offensive zone. Montreal goes the other way, is able to obtain the zone easily. Flyers are trailing the play. Eventually, Ristolainen slides to block a pass and does so. Goes into the end boards hard and is a bit slow to get up. Then it's a loose puck that Sanheim gets, but it has Sherratt on him right away. He loses that puck. And eventually they get it in front to Rem Pitlick, who puts it in and ties the game. And you look at the play, and Sanheim needs to be better with that puck and not turn it over in the offensive zone and then the D zone. Then you look at Derek Brassard that just got lost out there. He got lost. He's got to pick up net front, and he didn't. Giroux flows to the side where Sanheim is and being challenged by Sherratt, because as the center, you got to support there. That's his job. And even though Atkinson's trailing the play, his job is to come in and pick up the high side of it in the D-man, and he's pretty much in position to do that. I don't love when defensemen get off their edges and lose that control in a slide. In that situation, Mike Yeo said he made it the right play and a good play. And he did make the play. So if you're going to slide, you damn well better get the puck. You better mute the pass. He did. I know a lot of people are blaming him because he's the guy that's got the big target on him. He just signed a new contract, and the analytics community is going to point to that. But to me, he's about the fourth most culpable guy on that goal. But the two most culpable are Sanheim and Brassard. Brassard just gets lost out there, and Rem Pitlick's behind him, net front, and eventually they got Suzuki going there as well. They get the pass to him, and it's in the back of the net. And I'm going, you've got to be kidding me that you're on a power play in their zone, and they get a rush opportunity the other way and tie the game. Like, how does this just keep happening? So let's go to overtime, because here's another source of frustration. We know by now, as long as 3-on-3 has been in the league, the strategy to 3-on-3 is possession. So much so that you want to have possession of the puck, control it, and limit the other team's opportunity to change as well, because you can catch them on tired legs, because you can change when you have the puck. You're controlling it. The other team can't, because they can't attack without it. And the Flyers win a D-zone draw after the power play had expired in overtime. They had a minute of power play time, 4-on-3, and you're back to 3-on-3. And they have possession of the puck coming up the left side of their boards in the zone, and there's no rush to get up the ice. There's no reason to rush. You're not going up to score, with 10 seconds left. It's not the situation. There's 3 and change. So there's no rush to get up the ice. You get the puck, you should recoil, get your 3 players set up, get in a flow, and attack. But they try and rush up the ice. Morgan Frost tries to get a puck to Farabee, hits off his foot. Now the puck is in peril. The puck is at risk. And in 3-on-3, the only thing that matters is possession of the puck. That's how everything is predicated. They lose the puck. Montreal goes the other way. Pitlick makes a great pass to Cole Caulfield, who jumps right off the Montreal bench and is not picked up. Lack of awareness. Provorov can't get over there to mute the shot from Caulfield. And what do we know about Cole Caulfield? He can shoot the damn thing. He wires it, beats Hart. Overtime win for Montreal. And it's just incredibly frustrating. Mike Yeo absolutely lit into his team postgame. And, I listened to it last night, and Mike said, we're going to have to start moving guys down in the lineup. We're going to have to start healthy scratching guys, putting them in the press box. And he said, veterans and young players, nobody's immune here. And I mean, I don't even know how. You got to find a way to leave all of this baggage inside this season, because there's a lot of baggage here. And I credit Mike Yeo for being incredibly transparent, wearing his emotions on his sleeve, because you can't come into a press conference and say, yeah, we did some good things, and that's hockey, bad things happen. No. He doesn't do that. And he's come in there and said, I'm the fourth guy up here saying that this stuff's got to stop. And talking about accountability and being a good teammate and knowing the situation and not making those mental errors at key times in games. But here we are. We're in this situation. And, the message that Mike sent last night in that post-game press conference was strong. After the Minnesota Wild game, I guess about 9 or 10 days ago, he talked about having uncomfortable conversations with the team. I wonder how the team reacts to that press conference after the game last night. Frankly, they should feel the exact same way. Guys want to win. And Mike said this in the postgame too. You can go out there and play the way you want to play, or you can go out there and play the way winning hockey is played. And in a situation where you're up a goal and you're on the power play and the faceoff's in their zone, it's not about putting the puck in their net. It's about doing everything you can to keep the puck in their zone 200 feet away from your net so they can't tie the game. That's the situation. You play the game different when you're up by a goal than when you're down by a goal. And they let the team that was down by the goal get control. And at the professional level, that shouldn't happen. Frankly, it shouldn't happen at the peewee level. It shouldn't happen at Bantam, midget, junior, collegiate, in the AHL, or certainly not the NHL. But it did. And that's why everybody is just pissed off and frustrated and deflated. I don't know. I don't, this trade deadline's coming up a week from today. We'll see where it goes. We'll see if that can be a reset for the group that remains, who goes and who stays. I mean, Giroux said something post-game that I thought was really interesting. So we still have some meetings I still have to have some meetings with management about what the plan is, this year and beyond. Maybe he is considering coming back or staying. I don't know. I don't know what to think of all of it right now. That's after a really bad loss that he had those comments. And he did say this is the worst season of his career. And it has been. Not from an individual player standpoint, but from a team standpoint. And he's a guy that is willing to do the right things and play the right way to win. He was actually good in the game. The shame about it, too, is Frost kind of turns that puck over in overtime. He's part of that turnover. He played a good game on the wing with Giroux and Konechny. Had a great assist to Giroux for his 900th point, but ultimately it ends up in a loss. You can't celebrate that Frost had a good game when it comes in a loss like that. Can't celebrate anything. Yeah, Frost had a good game. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You lost that game in overtime. They had no business losing. You ripped defeat from the jaws of victory. I don't know. It's incredibly frustrating. One last thing, too, before we get to Steve Coates. Every time Ristolainen makes a mistake on social media, it's going to be accentuated. And a lot of people were pointing out that he was at fault for the game-tying goal. Because, maybe they're staunch analytics people, and that helps fit their narrative. I put out a tweet in the first period. They had a penalty kill. And Ristolainen, I think, was out there for about a minute 50 of the 2 minutes. And in that penalty kill, he had 2 great block shots. He had 2 great zone entry denials and a big hit. And I put it out there. And it wasn't me forcing my agenda. It was just a sequence of plays that happened on that penalty kill. It was a really good penalty kill for him. He had a rough night overall. And when I put that out, people were going, oh, the ultimate homer take. Look, when you see something and it's good, you point it out. And then later in the game, when he got walked by Suzuki on that second goal in the second period, where he's way overly aggressive against a crafty player like Suzuki along the wall and takes himself out of position and off balance, and eventually Suzuki scores, that's a bad play, which I pointed out as well. But what I'm saying is I understand everybody's frustrated, but as a fan base, there's factions, obviously, but we're cannibalizing ourselves and we're making ourselves more miserable. What's happened on the ice has made us miserable enough. Let's not turn on each other as observers, fans, analysts, whatever you want to call yourself, and make it more miserable, because what's already happening out there is rough enough on all of it. We all want the same thing, but we're turning on each other. So just wanted to say that. Let's get to him right now. From the Flyers Broadcast Network, one of the great guys that I've had a chance to interact with professionally, and a guy that always makes me just laugh and smile no matter what's going on, because he's a great man, good hockey man, and he joins us right now on Parx Sporsbook presents Stick to Hockey Live. It's the one and only Steve Coates. Coatesy, what's going on?
Jason, how are you this morning?
How you doing, Coatesy? You hanging in there after what took place last night? That was tough.
I don't think I've ever seen that before, Jason, where you have a power play with 42 seconds to go with the face-off in the offensive zone, 5-on-4, and you got scored upon. Yeah. It kind of just fits in a little bit what you're just saying, that what can go wrong has gone wrong. I got to the 5-minute mark last night, and they said, we're at that point now where everybody's looking over their shoulder right now, because this is when doomsday comes in. And you figure, okay, they get a penalty with a minute to go or whatever it was. It's done. It's over. And it took 2 passes to get into the offensive zone of the Flyers. And then after that, the breakdown where you've got Rem Pitlick all by himself in front of the net with an extra attacker, an extra man than they have. I can't even explain it. I haven't had an opportunity yet I recall exactly what happened. The two passes. I mean, he just came right down the near boards, and when all of a sudden it was in our zone.
Yeah.
But after that, and I'm not trying to say that I was right. I'm just telling you what I described about the fact that when you're in a situation like that, you don't, and you're away from the puck carrier is taken care of by whoever's checking the puck carrier.
Yep.
What you got to do is you got to look around for somebody that's open.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to say I'm in the zone. That's great. But you have to nullify the player. You have to nullify the stick. Somehow you got to make sure that that person isn't recipient of a pass. And we got caught staring again. That's exactly what happened. And it happens. I just couldn't happen. I couldn't see anything like that in my whole life. I've been in this business where that happened with a extra man.
Yeah. I mean, under a minute too in that game. It's like you're finding new ways to lose. Coach, you know, you've been in this game a long time. I have as well. And I remember in Squirt, coach is saying 1-goal game in between the second and third period. Guys, this is not the time to take a risk. You know, we have a lead. Let's play like we have a lead. You play different ways at different points in the game. You don't want to sit back because you will get buried. But you have to understand that in that situation, you can't get beat up the ice because you don't put yourself in a position to get beat up the ice because you have a lead. You support the puck. You're on the right side of the puck. And like you said, everybody's got to pick up a man. Being there isn't good enough. Being there and doing something and muting the opportunity is what needs to be done. And I think that's what Mike Yo's talking about when he says, you know, you can play the way you want to play or you can play the way that winning hockey is played.
Well, that's absolutely correct. And I love Mike Yo's comments last night. He says, well, maybe I got to start sitting people down. Well, that's all part of accountability. You give, obviously the veterans always got that extra edge as far as getting ice time.
Yep.
Getting on a power play has got to be deserving, rewarding. All those things that, you know, you can't keep watching the same guys doing the same things all the time. And I think that Mike kind of said that, hey, listen, maybe we'll try something different now. We've tried this. And I use on the air all the time, TPS, time, play, score. There was an expression that was taught to me years ago by an assistant coach, Tommy Webster, who sadly has passed away. And time, play, score means if it's 5 minutes left to go, like last night.
Yep.
Okay, let's get it. 42 seconds to go, time. All right, so now you understand what your circumstances for how much time you need to kill to win the hockey game. Place, the face-offs in the Montreal zone. Perfect. The score, you're up 1. All right, so we got it in the offensive zone. All we got to do is kill 42 minutes. They got 4 guys. We got 5 guys. Let's make sure we do a good job. The best job you can do is keep the puck in the offensive zone. I really
200 feet away. Yep.
I don't care about scoring there.
Nope.
Okay. I care more about not getting scored upon.
Yep.
And it didn't work. And I imagine that, you know, the coach can't do anything. Okay. Mike Yo is absolutely helpless in that circumstance because all he can do is prepare. All he can do is put the players out and then go from there. And it's just like unbelievable. The players that have been around the National Hockey League and they're be the first ones to say to you last night, that was embarrassing, flat out embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, Coatsy, you know, Brassard is a guy they're trying to move at the deadline. And a couple games ago, he had that high flip that he tried with a couple seconds left in a period, up a goal. And it doesn't get out. It's turnover. It ends up in the back of their net with 2 seconds left. On a puck where he wasn't pressured, he could have just turned into the corner and ate it. It's just a bad decision. You don't expect a guy that's played over 900 games and 120 playoff games to make that decision. And then he got lost in the woods again last night out front and doesn't pick up Rem Pitlick at all. And, you know, I understand the notion of healthy scratching guys or moving them down in the lineup. But when you're trying to move a guy in the final week to the deadline, that's a tricky situation, isn't it? You're devaluing
Everybody
them.
knows what Brassard brings. I don't think one play or 2 plays is going to affect our thought process or any other draft situation, not draft situation, but trade situation with all the scouts. I mean, we've had multiple scouts in our building over the last month because of the circumstances and the ability of our players to be taken. Brassard's been around. I think Brassard's done a great job, quite honestly. He had a couple of boo-boos when it comes to defense, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's a center that can help you. He's a center that can score you goals.
And
So
play
if you're
wing.
looking for a fourth line center or maybe even a third line center, he would certainly be of help, and it wouldn't be of a lot of cost. Is it disappointing to see a veteran that's been with so many teams and been around over 900 games in the National Hockey League to see make those mistakes? Yeah, it is. But it's the game of hockey. It's a game of mistakes. Basically, that's been the tail of the tape this season, where it's the mistakes and the miscues in their own zone that just continue to haunt them. It's not like it's just like perfect for what's happened this season. When you lose all these players, other players come in, you get a so-so performance. But the bottom line is that it's just what can go wrong does go wrong. And when you're losing games, it's the bus ride, it's the plane ride, it's your skates, it's my shoulder pads. It just becomes, it escalates. And this isn't the first time it's happened to any team of any sport. It happens. And when it starts rumbling downhill, it's non-stoppable. But I would like to think that once the trade deadline is over, and I don't know why this becomes such an important date, but once the trade deadline, nobody likes to get traded. But once that trade deadline's over, you would like to think, okay, let's settle down. We got X number of games. I think there'd be 19, 18 games by then. Let's settle down and let's finish on a good note. Got a big road trip, win a couple of games on the road. The goaltending's solid. You got no problem with the goaltending. Yeah. Let's just go out and let's finish good. Let's be professionals and represent the logo.
Yeah, and you can say we know who's here for the remainder of the time. There's this element of unknown right now of who's going to be here, who's not going to be here. Is this guy going to get extended? Is this guy going to get moved? Who's coming up? Who's going down? Once you get to that deadline, you got to almost lock in your roster based on health and go, this is what it is, guys. Let's try and go into this offseason feeling a little good about something in what's been a miserable year. But Coatsy, the one thing is, I look at the overtime goal as well. And I hate obviously the shorthanded goal to tie it, to even get it to overtime. But 3-on-3 is all about, and I hate the 3-on-3, but the 3-on-3 is all about possession. And they have possession of the puck. They're coming up the left side in their D zone, but they seem to be in a rush to get up the ice. And 3-on-3 is not about being in a rush. You see guys back out of the offensive zone to reset and come in with flow with 3 players on 3 players. But Morgan Frost tries to give a pass to Joel Farabee. It hits his skate. Now it's a loose puck. They lose that battle. Caulfield comes off the bench. Provorov can't get there in time, and he wires it and scores. But again, look, that's a young player making that mistake, and there's some frustration with Morgan Frost. But, I mean, it's all about possession.
I don't disagree at all. I mean, you got to keep the puck. When you don't have the puck, one person on the puck carrier, the other guy's got to get the other players. Basically, one-on-one hockey. It's very, very simple.
Yep.
That's what it is. If I don't get the puck or I'm not checking the puck, I got my man. I'm going to follow him everywhere he goes. He might go behind the net. He might go back to the blue line. I got to stay with him. That's just the way the game's played on 3-on-3. It took the league. It's interesting when the 3-on-3 came in, everybody had a different idea what the strategy was going to be. And that was when it was really wild and woolly because there was all sorts of people going on breakaways.
But now rush each end.
And they figured it out. They don't need to rush. If they don't like what they see when they go in the offensive zone, they'll go back in the neutral zone, regroup, and come back in again.
Yep.
All about possession. That overtime goal was, I'll tell you what, I think Rem Pitlick must have eyes in his back and head because he was coming towards us as far as the broadcast booth and not near boards.
Yeah. And
he's being checked. And all of a sudden, he fires it back to the wing where Cole Caulfield just came over the bench. I said, what's he got? Eyes in the back of his head? Because after that puck was, you lose the puck, then you got trouble. Now you've broken down, and the team that's getting the puck is going to have an advantage because you've broken down.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. That's what Caulfield had all the time in the world. That's a hockey play. I mean, you hate to see it in overtime. You hate to see it, but it just falls right into what happens. You make mistakes, and the mistake was right there. Is that you weren't careful with the puck.
Yeah, you put the puck in peril.
Yeah,
And you didn't need
risk
to.
is the word.
Yeah.
Risk is the word.
Yep.
Do everything in your power when you're leading not to be risk or taking risks. I don't care what zone it is. Offensive zone, neutral zone, defensive zone. You've got to make sure that you protect the puck. If that puck is not protected, then you're going to create opportunity, and the opportunity can't be there. That's why the number, if you look at percentage wise, when teams leading after 2, the numbers are staggering about leading and winning.
Yeah.
And it's like exactly
94%.
Yeah. It's just fascinating to me. And this team, like I said, when it goes downhill, it's hard. And I feel for them the fact when you lose 4 centers, not like 2, you lose all your starting centers that start this season. Broussard, Thompson, Couturier, and Hayes. You can't survive like that in this level.
No.
You can't. Oh, you can call kids up, but you got quality guys, you got big guys that are going to play the game properly, and they feed the wingers. The wingers score goals, and everybody's happy. We all go home. When you lose that, and then on Ellis, you lose Ellis, it's no different than losing Niskanen. You lost Niskanen, you didn't really get anybody. You bring in Ellis because he can play the game properly. He's a top-notch defenseman. You lose him. It's just really hard. Yeah. It's really hard to compete in the National Hockey League when you don't have your personnel.
Yeah, I always say next man up in sports is like a cute saying, but the next man up is not the man. You could maybe survive a game or a couple of games or a stretch, but ultimately the guy that you lost, that's the main guy, your number 1 center or your 2C. They're that because it's earned. And when it's not that guy and you're down in your depth chart to your 5th or 6th ranked center, eventually you pay the price for that.
Well, yeah.
And it
catches up with you. The law of diminishing returns. I mean, sooner or later it catches up with you. And the mood, the mentality in the locker room, these are good guys. They want to go out and do a good job.
Yep.
They come to the rink. They're hockey players. They're professional hockey players. They got to this level because they're good and they got a great attitude. So they're going to go out and they're playing. This isn't working right now. It wasn't working for a while because of all the injuries, and you can't survive. Do I think this needs to get blown up? Absolutely not. I think you're fine. I got to do a couple of tinkerings that Chuck's going to have to do, and I truly believe that that'll be all taken care of. I think that Mike Yo's done a great job. I mean, he's been there before. He's been with St. Louis. He's been with Minnesota. He understands. But when you get handed something like this, where it's
grenade,
it's an out of control truck. Yeah. It's hard. All he can do is prepare. All he can do is tell him. Right now, you can see the difference in this hockey club in defending. They're doing a better job at defending in their zone. They're keeping the shots to the outside, but then all of a sudden there'll be a mistake, and bang, the puck's in the net. And that's the difference.
Coatsy, is there a way? I mean, even after the trade deadline, like you mentioned, like all these things are compounding and building up. It's like the snowball building up size and speed coming down a hill. Is there a way to even slow down the snowball in season? Not that they're not making the playoffs or anything like that, but just to feel better. I mean, is there so much scar tissue inside this season in the way that they've found to lose games that you can almost that you can have any time to start to change that? I mean, there's got to be a cultural tipping point, right? And I think
that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
That's why I brought up the fact that I was looking for that trigger point, Jason, to be the deadline. Give yourself a goal. You're going on right after the deadline date. You're on a 5-game road trip.
Yeah.
Starting with Detroit. And you just peck away at it. I think that Mike has pecked away at the defensive zone. He's done a good job with it. The power play, I think that he said it last night. I'm just repeating what he said. He's going to have to decide if he wants to keep the same guys on the power play.
Yeah.
Because and the penalty kill. I mean, it's just special teams has been a huge problem.
Yeah.
You can't win hockey games if you're not stopping power plays, and you can't win hockey games if you're not scoring on the power play. And that's been a major Achilles heel. So his last line of, not defense, but his next move, as he mentioned, that he has to start changing people.
Yeah, the hammer of ice time is the ultimate hammer a
The only
coach,
thing you
coach
have.
holds. Yeah, it really
Or it
is.
could have been like when I missed it by 1 year when Springfield, when Eddie Shore owned the team in Springfield, and if you didn't play, if you didn't dress that night, you had to sell popcorn.
Oh, oh man.
I'm thinking serious. I missed that by a year. I was there 76, 77. He was running it at 75, 76.
Maybe that's not a bad idea, Coatsy. If you don't play, you clean under the bleachers.
Oh yeah, that'll go. That's all going to go rapid now. Coachy said they should stop selling popcorn.
It'd be motivation, that's for sure. Nobody wants to sell
Well,
popcorn.
you know what? Motivation. Some guys need to be motivated.
Yeah.
I mean, some guys have the talent to go out and play the game, but they kind of like Rick McLeish was an absolute outstanding hockey player. Okay, yep. Great skater, had a shot. The wrist shot was spectacular. But he was kind of methodical in what he did, and he had to be kind of prompted a little bit. And it's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it is. So, you know, that's what you have a team for, to motivate each other, to make sure that you go out as a group to be able to do a good job.
Yeah, and everybody's got a different personality. You can be a competitor, but not be a guy that's always super serious. There's guys that you need to keep it light. There's guys that you need to be serious as a heart attack at all times. Let me ask you, you know, you're on the road with the team, and in a season like this, it can be really tough. You know, the plane, like you mentioned, bus rides, nothing is comfortable. It's not fun to go to the rink. And, you know, everybody plays this game initially because you just want to be at the rink. You want to be around the boys. You want to win. You want to compete. You have all those different elements. And when things are going just haywire like this, every element becomes arduous. What's it been like from, you know, kind of an on the road standpoint as well, even though you guys are barely been on the road lately, but still.
When you lose, we haven't won this year on the road. So that's a little depressing. And, you know, you don't have anybody, there's no noise. Like when you come back, the lights will go off. The card game might be up a little bit. There's some lights, but the other guys are all with the lights off. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. And not only are you losing for the Philadelphia Flyers organization and the logo, which is a very proud logo in the history of the National Hockey League, but you got to worry about yourself and where you're going, because you're part of a losing team. Yeah. As long as I've been in this business, if you're part of a winning team, you got a better opportunity of playing in the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League. Okay. If you have 2 Stanley Cups besides your name in the National Hockey League, you got more opportunity to play in other teams because you played on winners. You're playing on now what could be one of the worst teams in the history of the Philadelphia Flyers. That doesn't bode well when you're looking for people like for players from other teams. You go, well, hold on.
It's not attractive.
Beg pardon?
It's not attractive.
No, not at all. You're part of a losing situation, not a winning situation. So that's it's not a good thing for the individual player. So they've got a lot on their mind. They've got the pressure of trying to do right for the Philadelphia fans. They're trying to represent the logo. They're trying to do something that's going to help themselves. And right now, it's just it's like I said, it's rolling downhill and it can't stop.
I've seen some people on social media, and it's almost like gallows humor, say, you know, maybe one of the things they need to do to lighten things up is bring Coatsy's Corner back. What do you think about a radio version of Coatsy's Corner to just kind of lighten the mood a little bit?
You know what?
You did some classic bits.
That Coatsy's Corner was a fabulous, and not because I was involved with it. The concept was great because it was educational, it was humorous, it was historical, and the guys that we had on, like every one of them, like the quiet guys, the loud guys, the funny guys, we brought the best out of them, was showed to the fans about what they were truly like.
Yeah,
they had fun. I had fun, and the business has changed a little bit. I don't know if it's possible to do something that again. I don't know. I don't even know if I can skate anymore.
You can skate. You can still skate after your surgery and everything. You look good. You lost some weight. You look healthy.
Well,
spry. Nice you can skate.
Say. That's very nice of you to say.
No, you look good. You've rebounded from the surgery well. How you feel?
Yeah, I was very lucky. I'm very, very lucky.
Scary though, right?
Beg pardon?
It was scary though, right?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, anytime you have something like that, but I got full support. I had a lot of support from the organization, and Timmy Saunders was great. I mean, it was all my friends. It was great, but it's not something you'd want to go through to lose weight.
No, it's not the desired path. Weight Watchers or bypass, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna have quadruple bypass. I'll talk to you next week. Everything's
fine. Tim was keeping us all updated. I know he was talking to Lynn, your wife, and everything, and we were constantly getting updates on how your surgery went and your recovery, which was great. And it's great that you're back and feeling better and you're back golfing again. All that. You got a tee time today, as a matter of fact.
I got a tee time today. Well, you know what? You got it. My wife doesn't want me home, so I got to go out. Now, right. I got to explain something to you. Okay, we've been objectively talking about this hockey club. I think that myself, as a color analyst, is it hard to keep it fresh and keep it like we got this coming and we got that happen? This is the hardest year I've ever had in trying to make it sound rosy. And I think you get to a point where anybody like yourself, myself, is that you got to tell what's going on. Yeah. You got to give your opinion. And when it's great, we talk about how great they are. When it's bad, you can't put a bow on it right now. No. This is not possible. And I just want you to know that I love all these guys. I love the coaching staff. I think the general manager is great. And all I think is that we're in the dump, but we got an opportunity to regroup. And I still think you can regroup with the majority of this team. I just wanted to say that.
The big key, Coatsy, to me is, you're going to have these things are going to happen in sports. It's what you do after it happens and how you use what happened. You have to find a way to turn a sideways season, a bad season, into a positive. They have an opportunity. You have to look at it as an opportunity, don't you? To go, okay, this happened. We can't do anything about what has happened, but we got to make sure that we chart a different course and use this opportunity to move forward and be better.
I think that really tells you a lot about your players and what you need to do.
Yeah.
I think we've got all these analytics guys right now. I don't know how much they use analytics. Everybody, I would imagine, has a different thought process and a different philosophy on it. But with all the people that we do have, we have the ingredients to making sure the support is there for these players. There isn't anybody in the National Hockey League doesn't know that when you go to Philadelphia, you're treated as good as anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's all part of this package, which is sad because the players are treated. I'm part of it because with the players, and this is just one of those years that, as like I said, what can go wrong, it doesn't matter. Your skates are bad, your stick's bad, your helmet's off sideways. I mean, it's just it's a tough situation, but if we can get this thing cooking a little bit, to be able to show some entertainment, show some initiative to do better, all the different things that people want to see. That's all they want to do. They understand what happened with the injuries. They know how it got to where we got. Now they want to see something to be able to make them feel better about what you just said coming back next year.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to leave all of this baggage in this season somehow.
That's right.
Yep. You hope the airline loses your luggage here, for lack of a better metaphor.
I've never heard of that. I hope the airline loses my baggage.
Yeah, I don't need that stuff anyway. Last thing for you. When we had Tim on one time, he was telling the story about how you guys were flying somewhere and you were trying to land at an airport a couple of times. You were up with the pilot, as a matter of fact, a few years ago. And the plane had to abort 2 landings, and eventually you went on the intercom of the plane, the team plane, and said, "All right, I've tried it twice now. Now I'm going to let the pilot try it."
I didn't go on the intercom. I walked out of the cockpit. I used to sit with the pilots back in the day when you could.
Yeah.
So we're coming in. It's the last game. We had just flown in from Winnipeg, and there's black fog everywhere. Can't see. We come in, and I'm sitting I'm in the jump seat between the 2 pilots, and they come in, and all of a sudden we look out of the black fog, and the runway was over here. So the guy goes, "Oh, now what happens when that happens is you've got one beep or one sound that's for traffic, and the other one's for altitude. So all you got is this traffic, altitude, and all these things are going off, screaming. So we go up and we come back around. Now we're coming in, and we go over, and all of a sudden we look, and we're right over the terminal. Well, this is not going to work either. So now we wing back. The one pilot says to the co-pilot, well, listen, I'll tell you what, we come in this time. If you see it first, I'll land it. I see it, I'll land it. That's when I got up. I want out of there because I don't want to be watching this.
Yeah.
And I went back, and all the guys were sitting there kind of like, what's going on? I said, I tried to land it twice, and I gave up. So I let them do it now.
That is classic.
Oh, I can remember it like it was yesterday.
And some of the young players are probably going, is he serious?
Well, they don't let me up there anymore.
Well, I don't blame them after that experience. Coatsy, thanks for doing this so much, man. Hit them straight today, all right? I'm glad you're feeling better.
Jason, anytime. I love talking. I love talking hockey.
Yep.
You guys
and I both
do a great job, too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. There he is, Steve Coates, joining us on Stick to Hockey Live. Thanks, Coatsy.
See you.
All right, there he is, Steve Coates. Thanks to him for joining us on Parx Sporsbook presents Stick to Hockey Live. Love talking to Coatsy, and great analysis and breaking down what's going on with this team as we lead up to the NHL trade deadline. Who's going to be here a week from today is the question. Wow. Big night on Thursday as Claude Giroux plays 1,000th game against the Nashville Predators. Picked up his 900th point in the game against Montreal last night. That goal that gave the Flyers the 2-1 lead after Konechny gets it to Frost. Frost gets it to Giroux in front of the net, and he's able to beat an outstretched Montembeault. But the Flyers will be back at it coming up on Thursday. So let's wrap up this episode of Parx Sporsbook presents Stick to Hockey Live. But let's tell you about Parx Sporsbook, because this is when you download the app. This is when you put it on your phone. This is when you check it out, because you've got college hoops. You got the college tournament this weekend starting Thursday. Then you also got the remainder of the hockey season into the playoffs, which is always fun. The remainder of the pro hoop season into the playoffs, which is always fun. Baseball is now on its way back. They've reported for spring training, and you got all that action to get on as well. So get the Parx Sportsbook app. Check out all the different ways you can bet: props, parlays, teasers, player performances, live in-game betting. You name it, it's all there for you. Whether you like to bet first to score, exact score, player score, points over unders, saves, all that stuff in hockey, it's all there for you, and you'll find it very easy to navigate. So just get the app, download it, open it up, create an account, deposit some money, and your first bet will be risk-free up to $500. And again, Tone will join us coming up on Thursday for Tone Stakes. He'll give you good places to put your money. He's been on fire this year, so we'll talk to Tone on Thursday's episode, and check it out. You'll find the experience very easy. I love the player performances and the different props and things you can do, the things you can combine and get really good payouts on. If you just want to put like a little bet down, a little $5 bet or whatever on something that's got, plus 1,200 because you combine a couple of bets, hey, that's all good. If it hits, you're making real good value on your money. So check it out. It's the Parx Sportsbook app. And again, just deposit, open up an account, and your first bet risk-free up to $500. No promo required. Make sure you follow Parx on all the social channels at Parx Sportsbook on Twitter. Follow them on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as well. You'll get great daily content from Natalie and Sam and everybody that we're putting out content, this podcast included, also G's with Harry and I. And check it out. You will not regret it, and you'll get a great experience and get in on the action with the best handicapping and sports action network out there. That is the Parx Sportsbook app. So that's going to put a wrap on this episode of Parx Sportsbook presents Stick to Hockey Live. We'll be back Thursday with another one. Tomorrow, another brand new episode of G's with Harry Mays. But everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating and review as well. And we'll talk to you next time. Coming up on Thursday on a brand new episode